Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to architect a professional identity strategy designed to survive a labor market that has fundamentally shifted. We aren't dealing with a signal problem anymore. We're dealing with a severe evidence problem. So I'm going to walk you through exactly how to build a robust, verifiable professional record that can actually withstand the sweeping changes brought on by artificial intelligence.
Let's jump right in by confronting a pretty hard truth, which Jeff Chamberlain nails in his 2026 book, What Comes After the Resume. The modern resume, it's dead as a reliable signal. It's just been completely flattened by AI. When literally everyone has a tool that can instantly hallucinate perfectly polished, keyword-optimized bullet points, the words themselves completely lose their value. The resume is just a generated surface now. It is not the actual record.
To operationalize your identity, we're going to move quickly through this highly structured briefing. We'll cover the AI signal problem, worker-owned evidence layers, the anatomy of professional truth, privacy and governance boundaries, and finally, building your evidence vault.
All right, moving right into Section 1, let's examine the structural tension happening in the labor market today, because the very mechanics of how talent is evaluated have been rewritten.
The data paints a pretty striking picture. If you look at the 2025 McKinsey's State of AI and Pew Research findings, AI adoption is just widespread on the candidate side. But more importantly, it is completely institutionalized on the employer side. According to documentation from platforms like Workday Skills Cloud and LinkedIn Recruiter, AI fundamentally mediates how you're evaluated. We're trapped in this weird loop of an AI reading an AI, just hunting for keywords at lightning speed.
And that brings us to the core structural tension we've got to navigate: the conflict between generated professional surfaces and a worker-owned evidence layer. The generated surfaces, like your resume or LinkedIn profile, those are owned by employers and optimized purely for screening. To survive that intense compression, you absolutely have to build out that authentic, private evidence layer that you completely control, grounded in actual context and artifacts.
Which leads us to Section 2, Worker-Owned Evidence Layers, the true foundation of verifiability. This is the structural countermeasure you have to deploy. You can't just rewrite your resume anymore. Your career needs to be grounded in a real architectural standard. Following Chamberlain's framework, we look directly to the W3C's Verifiable Credentials Data Model, version 2.0. This isn't just about dumping some PDFs into a cloud folder, right? This is a foundational standard that enables you to own, govern, and cryptographically verify your professional claims. In short, it makes your proof mathematically distinct from AI hallucinations and completely portable. Moving on to Section 3, the anatomy of professional truth. We need to move beyond simple metrics and define the deep anatomy of an authentic identity. So what actually constitutes proof when language alone can't be trusted? Chamberlain's workbook outlines 5 distinct pillars of professional truth that go way beyond those generic impact metrics. We've got evidence, meaning your actual artifacts; context, the stakes and constraints; judgment, which is how you navigate trade-offs; contribution, the invisible stabilizing work; and witnesses, the human context. Let's dig into the most misunderstood of these. Real judgment strips away all those corporate buzzwords. It's formally defined as the disciplined use of available information under constraint. It is all about making choices when resources, time, or authority are severely limited. A generated resume might just say you led a project, but your private record, it needs to show the brutal trade-off you accepted to hit a fixed deadline when your team was cut in half. That is what actually proves seniority. Next up is contribution. We have to rigorously separate causation from contribution here. Modern performance culture demands that you quantify absolutely everything with a neat percentage point. But real professional truth recognizes that preventive or stabilizing work is deeply valuable. I mean, if you prevented a massive compliance failure, there's no dashboard metric for a disaster that didn't happen. Your record must capture that invisible labor. Now, to protect your judgment and contribution from being totally misunderstood, you have to capture the context layer. A claim can be technically true, but entirely misleading without its environment. You've got to document the precise operational reality, the scope, the constraints, the stakes, and your actual level of authority. Context isn't making excuses. Context is literally the structural foundation of the claim itself. Okay, Section 4. Before you start eagerly gathering all this data, we need to talk about a critical constraint: privacy and governance boundaries. This crucial point is perfectly summarized. Evidence is not the same as exposure. Building a worker-owned evidence layer is an exercise in precise risk management. You cannot simply download your employer's entire hard drive to prove you did a good job. Anchored by institutional guidelines like the NIST Privacy Framework and the USPTO Trade Secret Policy, you have to rigorously distinguish between valid proof and dangerous exposure. Proof is governed, it's safely abstracted, and it respects boundaries. Exposure, on the other hand, is careless. It's violating intellectual property or exposing client data just to make a resume bullet look slightly more impressive. And this brings us to a massive modern governance failure. As explicitly highlighted by the NIST Artificial Intelligence Risk Management Framework, feeding confidential organizational artifacts into models like ChatGPT just to help you generate resume bullets is a catastrophic breach of professional trust. The integrity of your record depends entirely on how ethically you handle data that doesn't actually belong to you. Let's bring this all together in Section 5, Building Your Evidence Vault. This is where we operationalize your record into a secure daily practice.
This is the exact structure you should use for every single entry in your vault. Remember, an artifact without explanation is useless to your future self. So, for every piece of evidence, you need to tag it: the date, its strict privacy status, the operational context, the specific claim it supports, what a safe public version of it looks like, and the witnesses who can actually verify it.
By following these 3 architectural steps, you maintain total control. First, you secure the private source evidence. Second, you filter it through your strict privacy and context boundaries. And third, you extract those insights to render a highly accurate, right-sized confidence onto your public surfaces. You are rendering from a position of absolute verifiable truth, rather than just AI-generated hype. I want to leave you with this final architectural question to evaluate your current setup. If your generated resume was deleted tomorrow, what hard evidence actually remains? Start building your worker-owned evidence layer today, because in a market flooded with AI signals, those with verified professional truth are the ones who are going to survive. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.